And welcome back to the show. Behind the Book is a program developing engaged readers and writers in underserved New York City public schools by designing and delivering programs that are multidisciplinary as well as culturally responsive and promoting deeper connections to books and their authors. Now, they actually empower students by giving them the tools they need to reach their full potential. And joining us now to share more details is the Director of Programs at Behind the Book, Denise Cotton. And Denise, glad to have you with us.
Same here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I want to talk to you about the issue of literacy, right? Because when we talk about literacy amongst young people, there is that gap. And we know that there's a huge gap when it comes to reading and writing. And when it comes to your organization, you're doing a good job of actually bridging that gap. So give us a little bit about what you're doing.
So we work with Title I public schools in New York City. And it's not only New York. There's a lot of pressure on students to always get the right answer, to get the right answer for a test or to satisfy the questions of a particular teacher in the classroom. And so what we really strive to do is give students the space to be creative and to engage with the text in a culturally responsive way, but in a way that really engages how they learn best, what excites them, and how they want to express their learning. So you did a great job explaining our program model. I'm like, you work Behind the Book. So one of the ways that we do that is multidisciplinary education. We have the author that actually comes and meets with the student in person. We have teaching artists that come in, so they do art, they do drama, they go on field trips. There's a whole world that's opened up to them from the book. And from that experience, they're really able to express themselves and be intrinsically motivated to learn. That's one of the main things that we don't want the students to lose is their spark and love of learning.
Yeah. And so for you, what's been the key in terms of really getting students to buy in? Because we do know that there is this gap. I mean, we talk about some numbers, we look at schools and we say 89% of students live at or below the poverty line. And we do have 62% of students who are English learners or in special education. And so there is this challenge that you have in terms of getting buy-in from students, right? So what's been the key for you to really be able to lock in?
I think it starts with one, the book choice, and book ownership is a huge part of how we bring the students in. When we, as a team, we had a conversation and we noticed students don't get their own books from the school. They're usually loaned or they're photocopies. And then in collaboration with the teacher, when you identify what's the reading level of the student, what is the unit that they're already studying, or what is something that they're experiencing in their classroom or in their world, and aligning with that so that there's a real world application. We hear all the time, students will come up to us when they see us in their school. Oh my goodness, Miss, I've never finished a book before. I usually would put it down. I couldn't put this book down because it's a book that we make sure is engaging, that they see themselves in. And so it really starts there. And then the design of the program just continues to keep them engaged.
Yeah. And so you also have some author workshops and helping people become authors, I take it.
Yes. So we are entering our 20th year at Behind the Book. And we worked with Jacqueline Woodson. We recently did a big author event at PS 125 in Harlem, where we were able to bring Nicole Hannah-Jones and Renee Watson, and they came to the school in person and spoke to the students. And I mean, the value of having the author meet with the students directly is so impactful. And our author workshops are a little unique because we have the element of the surprise, not the surprise. I mean, they're expecting the author to come, but to say, oh, wow, they're really meeting with me and they're in my classroom and they're signing my book. There's a big part about that, but then it's also a masterclass with a published author. So all of our programs, the students are working on their own culminating writing project, and they're able to hear from the author about how do you develop character? I'm working on my own writing piece. They can get feedback from the author. Sometimes we're able to design in the author workshop where they're conference with the author and show them their draft or show them a part that they're stuck on. And so that master class is so important to the students.
And so I want to ask you about how you're navigating these days, because all of us are still trying to deal with this COVID-19 pandemic and really trying to navigate around that. What's it been like for you, and how are things going now?
Yeah, I actually am so proud of my team because I actually like to talk about how we pivot from COVID. I know it's been horrible for the community. It's definitely been difficult, but I remember in March 2020, when we found out, oh my goodness, the world is changing. We don't know what's happening. I was going to take a second to regroup and think about everything we were doing was in person, every single workshop, our entire program model. And we got a message from the students the day after everything shut down and said, how are we going to finish our writing? Because we're still working on our writing. And that just clicked for me. I said, we have to find a way to show up. We are still necessary. And with all that the DOE is navigating, how can we bring that light? How can we bring that engagement when they're dealing with other more, logistical issues and things in the school as well? And so we were able to pretty much finish the number of programs that fiscal year. We continued into the following year, and we actually became better because we found cool ways to do what we were doing. So we used to do field trips. We found a way through a few different ways to bring microscopes to the kids. We ordered butterfly larvae, and that went to their homes. So the field trip, we brought the outdoors indoors. So we still found a way to create this immersive experience. And now we're back in the classroom, and we do hybrid author visits sometimes where maybe the author is not able to be in the classroom, but we're still able to have that high level of engagement.
And so for people who want to get connected to the work that you're doing, how do they go about doing that?
So there's a couple of different ways. We have our website, behindthebook.org, and that way you can reach out to us, as well as see the work that we do, because the students also publish for some of our programs their own anthology of their writing and artwork, and you can see that on our website. We also are on social media, so our Instagram, Behind the Book, on Twitter and on Instagram, you can follow us there. And if someone is interested in having Behind the Book at their school, they can reach out to me as the director of programs, and we can have a conversation, and hopefully we can partner and do great work.
Well, Denise, thank you so much for being with us here on Open, and certainly great work that's going on with Behind the Book, and pleasure having you.
Thanks so much.
All righty. Well, we want to let you know that we can get more information at the website again, behindthebook.org, and then also follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Behind the Book.